You're standing next to her, close enough to feel the warmth of her presence, close enough to hear the quiet rhythm of her breathing. And in that moment, most men make the same mistake. They start talking too much. They try to impress her, entertain her, prove themselves worthy of her attention. But here's the dark psychological truth that nobody tells you. Attraction rarely grows from the words you say. It grows from the emotions you awaken. And sometimes all it takes is 3 simple words, spoken in the right moment, with the right energy, to live inside her mind for days, to echo in her thoughts when she's alone at night, to make her replay that moment over and over again, wondering what you really meant. Welcome back to Female Code Unlocked, the place where we decode the hidden psychology of attraction, feminine emotion, and the silent signals that shape relationships. If you want to understand women on a deeper psychological level, make sure you subscribe and join our growing community. Because the truth you learn here might completely change the way you see attraction forever. Now imagine this. You're talking to her. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's during a quiet walk after dinner. Maybe it's just a random conversation that started casually. She's smiling, but her mind is still guarded. Women rarely reveal their deepest emotional curiosity right away. Their mind is like a beautifully locked room. And most men spend their entire lives knocking on the door. But the men she remembers, the men she secretly thinks about later, are the ones who find the key. Here's the fascinating part about female psychology. A woman's mind isn't always searching for the most attractive man in the room. It's searching for the man who makes her feel something unexpected, something mysterious, something emotionally stimulating. Think about it. She probably hears compliments all the time. You look beautiful. You're amazing. You're perfect. Those words might sound nice, but they rarely stay in her mind for long. Compliments are like fireworks, bright, loud, and gone within seconds. But psychological curiosity? That lingers. That's why the 3 words you're about to learn are so powerful. They don't flatter her. They don't chase her. They don't try to impress her. Instead, they plant a question inside her mind, and the human brain hates unanswered questions. Psychologists call this the curiosity gap. When someone introduces an intriguing thought but doesn't fully explain it, the mind becomes obsessed with resolving it. It keeps replaying the moment, searching for meaning, analyzing every detail. Women are especially sensitive to this emotional puzzle. So imagine you're in the middle of a conversation with her. She's telling you something about herself. Maybe a story from her past, maybe a random opinion, maybe even a small detail about her personality. Instead of reacting like every other guy, you pause. You look at her for a moment, not in a desperate way, not in a needy way, but with quiet curiosity. Then you say 3 simple words. You're interesting. That's it. Not, you're beautiful. Not, you're amazing. Just, you're interesting. Now here's why this works on a psychological level most men completely miss. When you call a woman beautiful, she feels validated, but she also feels understood in the most predictable way possible. Beauty is the compliment she expects. But when you call her interesting, something completely different happens inside her mind. Her brain instantly asks a question. What does he mean by that? Is it the way she thinks, the way she talks, the way she sees the world? Suddenly, you've turned a normal conversation into a mystery. And mysteries are addictive. Because now, even after the conversation ends, even after she goes home, even when she's scrolling through her phone late at night, a small part of her mind keeps returning to that moment. You're interesting. 3 simple words, but they carry emotional weight, curiosity, and intrigue all at once. And that's only the first key. Because the second phrase you're about to learn triggers something even deeper in her psychology. Something that makes her feel seen in a way she rarely experiences. There's a quiet moment that happens in almost every meaningful interaction between a man and a woman, but most men completely miss it. It's that small pause when she finishes telling you something personal. Maybe she shares a story about her childhood, a frustration about work, or even a small secret about how she really sees the world. In that moment, her words are hanging in the air, waiting to see how you respond. Most men rush to fill the silence. They interrupt with advice, jokes, or another story about themselves. But when you do that, you unknowingly close the emotional door she just opened. Because when a woman shares something real, she's not always looking for solutions. She's looking for understanding. And this is where the second phrase comes in. The one that begins to anchor your presence in her mind long after the conversation ends. Imagine this scenario. She tells you about a time someone underestimated her. Maybe a coworker who didn't take her seriously, or a moment when she felt misunderstood. There's emotion in her voice, even if she hides it behind a small laugh. Most men would say something predictable like, "They're stupid for thinking that," or "Don't worry about it." But you don't rush. You take a small pause, just enough to show that you're actually processing what she said. Then you say quietly, "I see you." 3 words. But psychologically, they hit deeper than almost any compliment you could give her. Because every human being has a hidden emotional desire. The desire to feel truly seen. Not just physically, not just superficially, but psychologically and emotionally. And here's something many men don't realize. Women spend much of their lives being looked at, but very rarely being seen. People notice their appearance. People notice their smiles. People notice the version of themselves they present to the world. But very few people acknowledge the deeper layers of who they are, their thoughts, their struggles, their complexity. So when you say, "I see you," and you say it with calm sincerity, her brain processes it differently. It doesn't sound like flattery, it sounds like recognition. And recognition creates emotional intimacy. Suddenly, you're no longer just another man she's talking to. You're someone who seems to understand something about her that others overlook. That's powerful. But the real psychological effect happens later, because after the conversation ends, when she's alone with her thoughts, her mind begins replaying that moment. Did he really mean that? What exactly did he see? Was it the story I told? The way I reacted? The things I didn't say out loud? And just like that, curiosity begins growing again. This is how emotional intrigue works. It doesn't shout, it whispers, it doesn't demand attention. It quietly occupies space inside someone's thoughts. And the more she replays that moment in her mind, the more your presence becomes associated with a rare emotional experience, feeling understood. Now, here's where things become even more fascinating. Because the third phrase, the final key, taps into something even deeper than curiosity or recognition. It triggers anticipation. And anticipation is one of the most addictive emotions in human psychology. When you say this final phrase at the right moment, it leaves her mind with a feeling that something unfinished exists between you. A story that hasn't fully unfolded yet. And the human brain hates unfinished stories. Which is exactly why the next 3 words can make her think about you long after you're gone. There's something fascinating about the human mind, something almost poetic. We don't obsess over the moments that feel complete. We obsess over the moments that feel unfinished, the conversations that ended too soon, the tension that never fully resolved, the energy between 2 people that felt like it was leading somewhere, but stopped right before the destination. And this is where the third phrase becomes powerful. Because by now, if you've used the first 2 correctly, something subtle has already started forming between you and her. She feels curious about you. She feels slightly understood by you. There's a quiet emotional thread connecting the 2 of you, even if neither of you has said it out loud. But if you end the interaction like most men do, that thread disappears. Most men ruin the moment by trying to extend it desperately. They keep talking, keep texting, keep chasing the conversation until it slowly fades into normality. Mystery disappears. Emotional tension dissolves. And suddenly, you're just another guy she talked to. But the men who stay in her mind, the men she thinks about later, understand something deeper about psychology. They know when to leave the moment unfinished. Imagine this. You've been talking for a while. Maybe the conversation has turned playful. Maybe there's eye contact that lingers just a little longer than normal. Maybe she laughs in a way that feels genuine instead of polite. That's the moment. Instead of dragging the conversation further, you slightly pull back. You smile calmly, as if you've noticed something about her that she hasn't fully revealed yet. Then you say the third phrase. We'll see. 3 simple words. But those words trigger something incredibly powerful inside the human mind. Uncertainty. Because now her brain immediately begins searching for meaning. We'll see. What? What exactly did he mean by that? Did he mean we'll see each other again? Did he mean there's something about me he hasn't figured out yet? Did he mean this conversation isn't over? And suddenly, instead of the interaction feeling finished, it feels like the beginning of something unresolved. This is what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency for people to remember incomplete experiences far more vividly than completed ones. When something ends cleanly, the brain closes the file and moves on. But when something ends with curiosity, tension, and unanswered possibilities, the brain keeps reopening that memory over and over. Later that night, she might be lying in bed scrolling through her phone. Maybe she sees something that reminds her of the conversation you had. Maybe she remembers the way you looked at her when you said those words. We'll see. And suddenly, that small moment comes back to life in her mind. Not because you chased her, not because you overwhelmed her with attention, but because you left her imagination with something to explore. That's the real secret most men never understand. Attraction isn't built by saying more. It's built by leaving space for her mind to wander back to you. So remember the 3 phrases. You're interesting. I see you. We'll see. Simple words. But when spoken with calm confidence and emotional awareness, they trigger curiosity, recognition, and anticipation, the 3 emotional forces that keep someone thinking about you long after you're gone. And when those emotions start living inside her mind, you stop being just another conversation in her day. You become the thought that quietly returns when everything else becomes silent. There's a moment that happens after every meaningful interaction. A quiet space where 2 people walk away and return to their own lives. The conversation ends. The noise of the world comes back. Messages stop. Hours pass. Sometimes days. And this is the exact moment where attraction either fades away or grows stronger inside someone's mind. Most men think attraction is built in the moment they are speaking to a woman. They believe the magic happens during the conversation, the jokes, the flirting, the compliments. But the real magic often happens after you leave, because when a woman walks away from an interaction with emotional curiosity still alive, her mind begins to revisit that moment, not consciously at first. It's subtle, almost automatic. She might be driving home when a small thought appears. That guy was different. She might be brushing her teeth later that night when a memory of the conversation flashes across her mind, the way you paused before you spoke, the calm confidence in your voice, the strange simplicity of the words you chose. You're interesting. I see you. We'll see. 3 phrases. But together they create something powerful. Curiosity, recognition, and anticipation. Those emotions form a psychological loop inside the mind. Curiosity makes her wonder about you. Recognition makes her feel emotionally understood by you. and anticipation makes her imagine the possibility of seeing you again. When those three feelings exist at the same time, something fascinating happens. Her mind starts filling in the blanks. And the human imagination is far more powerful than anything you could try to force through words or attention. She may start wondering what you're like when you're not around her. She might replay the moment you looked at her when she told that story. She might ask herself why your words felt different from what she usually hears. And the more she thinks about it, the more emotionally real that moment becomes in her memory. This is the quiet power of psychological presence. You're not chasing her thoughts. You're simply giving her mind something meaningful enough to return to. But there's one final detail that makes all of this work. And it's something that has nothing to do with the words themselves. It's your energy. Because words without emotional presence are empty. Anyone can say, "You're interesting." Anyone can say, "I see you." Anyone can say, "We'll see." But when those words come from a place of calm certainty, when you speak slowly, naturally, without needing validation, they feel different. They feel real. Women are incredibly sensitive to emotional authenticity. They notice the small details, the tone of your voice, the timing of your pauses, the quiet confidence in your body language. If your energy feels grounded, those words become powerful. If your energy feels needy, those words lose their magic. So remember this: attraction isn't about saying the perfect line. It's about creating a moment that feels emotionally alive. A moment that stands out from the thousands of ordinary interactions she experiences every week. And sometimes, that moment is created with nothing more than 3 simple phrases spoken at the right time. "You're interesting." "I see you." "We'll see." Use them with awareness. Use them with calm confidence. And you might be surprised how often those words quietly echo inside her mind long after you've walked away. Because the truth about attraction is simple. The people we remember the most are rarely the ones who tried the hardest to impress us. They're the ones who made us feel something we didn't expect. If this video helped you understand the deeper psychology of attraction, make sure you subscribe to Female Code Unlocked and join us for more insights into the hidden language of feminine emotions and human connection. And tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced a moment where someone said something simple, but it stayed in your mind for days? Because sometimes, the smallest words carry the deepest meaning.